This is a quick Without Prejudice video looking at Ed Sheeran's claim that because the minor pentatonic scale has only got 5 notes in it, there are limited possibilities, and because pop songs have got a few chords in them, there are limited possibilities there too. And this allegedly resulted in this coincidence that his I-O-I-O-I riff is exactly the same and sounds exactly the same as Sammy Switch's Y-O-Y-O-Y riff in his tune Y-O-Y. This is basically the court case versus Shape of You versus Y-O-Y, Sheeran versus Switch. First of all, let's have a quick look at the minor pentatonic scale. If I just start on a C, you can see it's basically got these 5 notes. Of course, I can actually go up 6, or I can go down 6 as well. Now then, from the first note, I can actually go just about anywhere. So just about any possibility, any combination of these notes will sound good. Now then, as I said, we can go 6 up, 6 down. So when we go from one note to the next note, there'll be 12 possibilities. If I go from one note to the next note and then to another note, there'll be 12 times 12 again, so that's 144. If I play another note, there'll be 12 times 12 times 12 times 12 and so forth. So we're talking here about a 9-note riff, which of course is going to be, 12 to the power of 9, which is going to be a huge number, probably billions. So the I-O-I riff could have been, that would have worked quite nicely, or could have been any one of those riffs there. Now then, the odds of it being exactly, and Sammy also doing, the odds of the two guys coming up with that independently, I know it's just a writing minor pentatonic scale with the notes doubled there, but it doesn't really make any difference, because the fact is you can go 12 notes in any direction at any point, and if the fact you've chosen to go up in steps is an extraordinary choice in itself, as is illustrated by the fact that nobody else can find another example which goes up in steps up the minor pentatonic scale. Now, if we also examine further the other examples which have been cited. First of all, there's Nina Simone's Feeling Good. Now then, here she uses a G minor pentatonic scale. So Nina Simone, a consummate artist, amazing pianist, goes around the G minor pentatonic scale quite freely in that example there. There's very little note duplication, going from one note to the next. Now then, an example that's been bandied about here was No Diggity, which caught on quite rapidly, because it's got a fairly similar sort of sound, because it's a sort of male chorus thing, and the chords underneath it are this. And we got so we've actually got 4 times the first note, and then all the notes are different, and of course the actual sort of of course the syllables are quite different too. So it's quite obvious that this actually has very little resemblance to the Y-O-Y-Y phrase, because Y-O-Y is just it's each note being duplicated going up the minor pentatonic scale. Now then, although the effect is quite different. Now, another thing is just the way that in Sammy Switch's tune, he's got this F sharp minor chord. So we're going from an F sharp minor to the A, and then we've got this sort of B minor implication. Now then, in YOY, there's sort of the YOY. So we've got this sort of call YOY, and then we've got this response. Why must you put me through this, whatever? So again, we got the phrase, and then we've got the call, then we've got the response. So not only have we got the 9-note sequence, but we've also got the call response thing. Now, when Sheeran does his, and then he does his response, which is quite extraordinary that not only is it the same riff, but it's also got the same call response structure. Now then, let's have a look at the chords underlying it. No Diggity, of course, has got this sort of descending thing, which of course is a little bit, this has actually got more resemblance to it's got more resemblance to Nina Simone's Feeling Good than anything else there. So, but of course the feel is very different, of course, so there's no infringement there whatsoever. But it's interesting that YOY has got this. So, yeah, it goes to the minor. Now, in Ed Sheeran's case, the borrowing from No Scrubs has already been acknowledged, which is and so it starts with the C sharp minor chord, which is oddly enough, Ed Sheeran of course starts with a C sharp minor chord, and then what does he do? He goes straight to the F sharp minor chord. Now then, Sammy Switch of course has got a B minor, but if you're going to go back to the C sharp minor of No Scrubs, you've got to switch to a B major chord. So we get this sort of thing. Interesting enough, of course, Sammy Switches and No Diggity both start there. Because No Scrubs starts with C sharp minor, we've had to start on a different note with exactly the same lick. And again, we've got the same chord response structure, and it's just been moved up. The chords are basically the same underneath it, apart from the C sharp minor, which has been borrowed from No Scrubs. Now, what I've done here, looking at the minor blues scale, I've discussed a few options of notes, and we can see how infinite those options are. I could discuss various rhythmic options as well, which would open up the thing again a lot further. But we don't even need to go there, because we've seen the chord response structure. We see that the chords, apart from the C sharp minor, already acknowledged, borrowed from No Scrubs, the chords are exactly the same. Indeed, the lick itself is exactly the same, and the syllables used over the top are also exactly the same. So it really is either an absolutely extraordinary coincidence or somebody's been a bit naughty. I'll leave you to decide.